Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fishin, the podcast where we discuss Modern's most competitive tribe and help the whole community become better Merfolk players. I'm Kody, one of the co-hosts of the show, and not Kody Smith on Twitter. And my co-hosts are...
This is Matt. I am the co-host. I was co-host, and I got knocked down to co-host. So it is what it is. But you can find me at Matthew Caudillate, trolling Kody, posting GIFs.
Wait, so then who is the co-host? Because I'm just an intern.
That's true. We established that last episode.
There is no co-host anymore. We have an intern and a co-host.
I thought we were all co-hosts, one and the same.
All right, well, anyways, I am Dorian. Welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Yeah, we have an interesting topic today, but before we get into all that, remember you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook is at FishcastMTG. Supporting us in places like Patreon and Inked Gaming are great ways to help support the show, and you get some cool merchandise and stuff like that, and that's really cool to help us out. But we also just like to thank you guys for listening and responding to us on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that, and even in our Discord, where we get to talk about Merfolk with all of our friends at the Wantermind Hub. And yeah, we just have a good time, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
We'd really appreciate it if you download our app on the Fire Stick.
Yeah, it's a great app, really it is. We didn't get a new patron this week, but we do have a random Merfolk, and Dorian got to pick this one.
But we love our patrons, all of them.
Yes,
especially you. You know who I'm talking about.
You know who you are. You know what you did.
You big sexy you.
All right, so Dorian, what do we got here for the random Merfolk for this week?
All right, so this one is not really a merfolk, but this is a creature that Kiora would fall in love with immediately. So I had picked number 96, and what popped up was Tidal Kraken. First printed in Mercadian Masks, it originally was a creature monster, but has been thanks to the errata, has been redubbed as Creature Kraken. And it is a 6/6 unblockable for 5 and triple blue.
That's 8 CMC, y'all.
8 mana for a 6/6 that's unblockable. That's pretty cool, I guess. But Matt, as we all know, you are the lord of flavor text. Kind of like what's his name? The king of Flavortown, the mayor of Flavortown. I'm totally blanking on his name for some reason right now. Guy Fieri.
Oh,
yes.
no, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Jason Alt.
Yeah, both of them. I think they're like co-mayors.
Hey, I'm Guy Fieri, and you know what I need? I need you riding shotgun. I'm on my way to Flavortown.
That's a dusty road in Flavortown right there, buddy. This is like a freight train to Flavortown, dude. Ravioli train is coming to Flavortown.
So, as the mayor of Flavor Text Town, could you read us this flavor text?
I can. And actually, one of the cool things is the flavor text has remained exactly the same since its original printing and through its other 2 subsequent printings. To Merfolk, pirates are a nuisance. To pirates, Merfolk are a threat. To the Kraken, they're both appetizers. That's just fantastic. That's some good, clean living right there.
Yeah, totally. It's really
not to be. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a really big boy, and he likes to snack on everybody. That's it.
Yeah, like I was saying too, this is a creature that Kiora would love to, use Thassa's Bident on. Just be like, you are going to be mine. Go, kill these creatures.
Yep.
No, so some things we were talking offline about were one that so every printing that this has been rare. And right now, if this was reprinted, it would probably be uncommon, considering what it is. But honestly, at uncommon, this would be a really cool card. 8 mana for a 6/6 unblockable in a limited environment would be really cool. And I think Dorian mentioned that, like, flavor-wise, this would be really neat in a if it was printed in Kamigawa, or not Kamigawa, Ixalan.
Well, it could be reprinted in Theros, the new upcoming Return to Theros set that we're getting.
Would definitely be in there. Thassa, God of the Sea, would definitely have a creature like this in her realm. No, but with just the flavor text alone, I thought it would have been I thought it would have been hilarious just to see something like this reprinted in Ixalan.
Yeah, there were water dinosaurs.
I completely agree. Another thing too is, so I don't think I've ever seen this card before. If I have, it's been a long, long time. But if you don't know what this card is, look it up, because the art is absolutely astounding. It is like straight up anime art. This is like anime before the Planewalker anime cards. It is really cool looking.
Yes, art by Christopher
this
Muller.
is like 1990s anime.
Yeah, very evocative. So
I legit might buy a foil version just because I like it so much.
All right, well, if you do that, you have to get the Mercadian Masks foil.
I might have to get both, because the Mercadian Mask foil is going to have like just the border be foiled and the art not foiled. But if I get like is 9th edition fully foiled, or is that still just the border?
No, it looks like it looks like 9th edition's the better one.
But
I guess I'm just gonna have to buy. I'm gonna have to buy both and see what happens.
But
if I get a foil version, it's gonna have to be the Mercadian Mask, because just creature monster is hilarious to me.
Well, the 8th edition is a monster as well. But either way, the white border foils are all black border anyway. So you're gonna get you won't get a white border, which is what I would prefer. All right, I think we should dive into our main topic, because we're gonna...
I see what you did there. Dive in.
Yep.
You clever you.
Yep.
Clever you.
I like to think that a broken clock is right twice a day, and every once in a while I tell a joke that lands, whether gracefully or ungracefully in the water. So
the rest just get beached.
Yeah, yep, just like a beached whale, like a giant blubbery carcass drying out in the sun. So our topic this week is Silvergill Adept. What are we gonna do with Best Fish? Honestly, so
is it really Best Fish anymore though?
Well, so Best Fish is the name that is the nickname that TuxDev gave to Silvergill Adept. And we've kind of adopted it because Silvergill has been such a good value. But there's been kind of talks in the community about whether or not Silvergill is fit to play. So
Silvergill's more meh fish now?
Yeah, like a maybe fish. But
try hard fish.
Yeah, and so we wanted to kind of go over the reasons why there's some considerations for not having Silvergill Adept in the list, and then talk about possible replacements. I think are kind of our best places to be at. So Dorian, I know that you've been playing the most modern out of all of us recently. What have you been seeing? Like, have you been trying out any lists without Silvergill, or just what are reasons why we wouldn't want to play Silvergill Adept?
So I can at least answer the reasons we wouldn't want to play Silvergill Adept. I am, I hate change. So I kind of keep Curse Catcher and Silvergill for those reasons. But Silvergill, or having Silvergill and virtually any X1 Merfolk in the main board is kind of a liability nowadays, because we are getting attacked by Renin 6, Plague Engineer, Lava Dart is it's huge in the Red Prowess decks. And let's see what else. Like, those are the main three that came out of Modern Horizons, but I want to say there was something that came out in the standard set. I'm drawing a blank on that.
But in any
I'd
case,
like to help you, but I'm still googling foil title Krakens. So
in any case, with Hogak and Faithless Looting gone, there's kind of a push to Jund just
wait. Hogak got banned, and we didn't talk about it on an episode yet?
We did talk about it 2 episodes ago. You and me, we were the only ones on that episode.
Oh, I thought we were shuffling episodes.
Nope, we're not shuffling episodes. We're just playing them in the order that they've been recorded.
Well, don't I look like a jerk?
Yes, you do. That's why I'm going to leave all this in.
You do.
And but anyway, so
The people know I'm a jerk, and they appreciate me for who I am.
Yep, you're a jerk, Mr. Matt, and that's what I appreciate about you. But in any case, with Hogak and Faithless Looting gone, it's kind of given new breath to decks like Jund. It's kind of given new life to decks like Jund, whereas Dorian said, basically on turn 2 they can ping something for 1, and so it kind of stinks to basically be paying 2 mana to draw a card. Because the benefit of Silvergill was that he stuck around and he got big and all that, but 2 mana to draw 1 card is not very good value in Modern, especially if you're going to get run over by a Renin 6 or, in Jund, the biggest thing is, they could go turn 1 and Thoughtseize you, or turn 1 Inquisition, turn 2 Renin 6, kill your 1-drop that you played, so like, they have a lot of ways to get a lot of information about what's in your hand. And then on top of that, they have a lot of ways to deal with what's left in your hand after they take things that they can't deal with.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we're neglecting to mention too is that the additional text on this card is an additional cost to cast the spell is reveal a Merfolk card from your hand or pay an additional 3. So two negatives are you're providing additional information to your opponent. More often than not, it's not usually that big a deal, but if the card is really just reveal a card for 1 blue and 1 and draw a card, that's pretty awful.
True. Yeah. I mean, if it was the reason it works in our deck is because we're built around, that tribe. No, but if you have like with the Jund matchup getting a little bit harder, if they rip out if they kill our 1-drop and then rip out one of the only other creatures we had in our hand, Silvergill is stuck there until either A, if we have a Vial, or B, we draw a Merfolk. So
or get to 5.
Which at that point I think we're probably dead anyways, but
yeah, and actually, Dorian, you kind of brought up a really solid point. Is if they're taking care of our hand with their hand disruption spells like Inquisition and all that fun stuff, so they already have perfect information, and then we get stuck with Silvergill in our hand, and then guess what? We're paying 5 mana to reveal the only other Merfolk in our hand and draw a card. And that's really bad in this situation. As you said, Lava Dart as well, on top of Renin 6 and a few other things like Collective Brutality and all that. Just kind of growing.
Gut shot.
I don't think they play Gut Shot in the main, but just because Lava Dart.
But Gut Shot's still around. I think the point being is there's plenty of things that deal 1 to 2 damage right now that are seen play in Modern, whether it be in sideboards or main boards or things like that. I mean, obviously Gut Shot's probably not something that's going to come in against a Merfolk deck, but I mean, it's out there and it would knock out this card very quickly.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, that's definitely a fair point to be made. And Dorian,
until it gets banned, because it is Phyrexian mana, so it's broken.
So Dorian, do you have any other tips for Jund? I mean, or any other concerns that we have with Jund?
I need to play against Jund a little bit more. I'm gonna be hitting up a league this week, hopefully, to test out a Simic idea that I've had for a while. Which is pretty much, aside from Kumena Speaker, it's 2-drop deck.
And the Simic deck's actually been seeing a lot more play lately. Wasn't that one of the ones that placed recently?
Yes, that one was a Simic list made the. Oh no, it was Mono Blue.
There was a Simic list recently though too. I saw that it was playing the new Horizon lands. And then the only actual spell that was different was it played the new Lord. I can't remember what it's called. Kumena Speaker?
Kumena Beaker is the 1-drop that can become a 3/3 with a Lord.
No, that wasn't it. The new Lord.
Merfolk Mistminder.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. But no, there were 2 lists in the past big events. There was the one that made 19th place, which was a Simic list. And then there was the mono blue list that was at the Friday MCQ at this past Magic Fest.
Okay, so I'm thinking the 19th place one. Warn people right now listening. I usually do very little research for this show. I warned Dorian and Kody. I did like negative research. I literally punched myself in the face in the temple to lose memory right before the show started. So forgive me.
Well, and so the Alex Kahn has also been talking about it a little bit on Twitter. Alex is again one.
Kahn!
It's CONN, not CKAHAN. But
Does it matter?
I guess it doesn't. But anyway, so Alex has been talking about it. He's actually kind of one of the higher end players right now for Merfolk. So definitely, I hold his opinion in high esteem. And it's just one of those things that when people like Nikachu and Alex and Tuxdev are taking time at least to consider what the deck would be like without Silvergill, then maybe we should all be taking a look, because this is not something that that they wouldn't suggest this sort of thing lightly. That's taking out like a cornerstone of the deck.
True. I kind of go back to, I want to say, I forget if I said it in an earlier episode or if I said it, just when we were talking offline. My thinking is that Silvergill Adept still has place in the deck. It's just, no longer a reliable turn 2 play. But, if we have it like, we can put it out with Vial and have Lord backup, for example, to protect it from like Ren and 6, or at least keep it alive through a Plague Engineer.
So that's a good point, I think, Dorian, right there that you brought up. So Plague Engineer is another one that's really, really going to be hurting us here with some of the board wipes. But so you're going to keep the Silvergills in. You're going to keep Mephish in your decks currently. You said you're a man of habit. What should we be doing then to combat all these new threats that are out there? I mean, are you just grinning and bearing it, or are you readjusting your sideboard? And those that, like we've mentioned before, like Nikachu and Tuxdev, that are potentially removing Mephish from their deck list, what are they doing to replace it?
So what I'm seeing a lot of people do with the list is that they're just upping the Lord count and having a bunch of Lords that we can drop into play is the virtual answer to Plague Engineer for one, but to have a consistency of bringing into Lords. So for Mono Blue, that's running Rajiri, or 4 copies of Rajiri, 4 copies of Lord of Atlantis, 4 copies of Merfolk, Master of the Pearl Trident.
He's still a Merfolk of the Pearl Trident. He's just the master of them.
Yes. He made rank, but
we don't want to talk about what he did to get there.
You guys just don't test or anything and all, like.
Well, and
nepotism favors. Nepotism in favors.
On the day that this was recorded, there was a spoiler from Throne of Eldraine, which is called Witch's Vengeance. It's 1 black.
Eldrazi.
Ha 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 ha! Bring up that joke again. But it's a sorcery.
It's funny, so I'll say it even a third time today.
That
foreshadowing.
Creatures of the creature type of your choice get -3/-3 till end of turn. So along with all these burn spells that we're seeing and a lot of kill spells, one way to stay ahead of them is to just to be Lords.deck. And that's kind of unfortunate, because that kind of takes away from the strategy of it. I think it's just like, just dump out all your Lords, play Lords, attack. Like that's what burn players think a Merfolk player does. So
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on that one. So for a lot of the things that Dorian brought up that are more creature based, like Plague Engineer and Walking Ballista, I don't think he brought it up, but I'm gonna give him credit for it anyway. We're gonna run into some issues like that. But cards like the one you just said from Throne of Eldrazi, see, there it is. I said I'd get it in there.
Haha.
And some of those other ones that kind of like ping things off, like Gutshot, like we mentioned, even though Gutshot's not a real card. What's the one from Modern Horizons?
Lava Dart was the
Lava
one
Dart.
that got.
Thank you. That's the one I was trying to think of. We have Force Negation now. So we can kind of like we have some ways to kind of play a little more tempo, a little more control to combat that kind of stuff.
Actually, Lava Dart is a 1 CMC, right?
Yeah, Lava
I
Darts.
believe it is.
Yep. And doesn't it have flashback?
It does for sacrificing a mountain, but yeah, I mean it's a 1 CMC. People are still running like what's it called, Chalice of the Void in sideboards, depending on local meta. You know, it just remember your trigger to counter Lava Dart for both when they cast it and try to flashback it.
And it's still 1 CMC, even if they pay more for it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's...
But the oh, go ahead. You
No. Go for it.
You interrupter, you.
Yeah, that's all. That's my job.
Yeah, for me, like personally, my only worry is Jund. It's easier like when I'm playing against somebody in person, because then I can kind of see what I can kind of play off of, you know, their mannerisms, the way a Jund player's thinking. They're looking at, you know, what they're going to be looking at a removal spell and be like, should I use it against this creature, that creature, and all? Should I just play, you know, more of the pressure kind of game and drop like a Goyf or drop something else? You know, drop like a Planeswalker. So that's the one thing that I can count on when I'm playing against somebody in paper. When it's online, I get none of that, and it makes it so much harder for me to like play around some of these cards while having like Curse Catcher and Silvergill Adept in my lists, at least. You know, going back to an earlier conversation, you know, Benthic Biomancer has some protection against all those, against Ren and 6 and Plague Engineer. If they want to kill it with Lava Dart, they have to, you know, bolt it and then kill it, or they have to, you know, dart it and then bring it back from the graveyard by sacking a mountain, which can put them behind. But Lava Dart specifically in the mono red prowess lists that I've been seeing
Constantly.
Yes. Like when I was playing FNM this past weekend, I ran into, like, my only loss was to a prowess deck. And it was a tough, like, game. A lackluster game 3 was also part of the reason, because I had to mull down to 4. So it was basically I kept a Merfolk Trickster, 2 lands, and a Damping Sphere.
Well, I think we kind of had talked about this a little bit already, but like going against non-creature based threats, we have Force of Negation and potentially some other counter magic in the sideboard to kind of deal with some of that. But creature-based threats are particularly more difficult to deal with. Again, Plague Engineer, like we talked about earlier, but then you just brought up Goyf can be a major problem because it just gets bigger than most of the creatures that we can play. Especially, I mean, they got one thing and it's got to chuck some stuff in the graveyard. Whereas, I mean, you got to lord to lord to lord just to kind of keep up. I mean, you're not going to keep up with the Joneses on that kind of a situation.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
Plague Engineer plus a removal spell just really sets us back.
Yeah, and again, there's the answers at the sideboard just aren't great against kind of what's out there right now. Like Dismember, I'm looking at one of the recently played decks by Dan Christoph. Finished, looks like he finished 7th or somewhere around 7th in the Mythic Championship qualifier recently in Indianapolis.
Yep,
and,
that was the one. And thank you for ruining my, end of episode segment. But
Cody can edit.
What?
Yeah. But anyway, where I'm going with this, God, I'm starting to feel like Cody now. Like I actually am trying to make a point, and people are interrupting me and not paying attention.
Oh, I'm mad.
Man, that's really annoying.
Now that we have, now that you have felt the pain of others, we can move on to healing.
No, I'm just gonna kick it up to like 20.
Anyways, yeah, go ahead. You were on the
But
tangent with
again, there's a lot of burn right now, and as you said, the prowess decks and just things that are coming at you pretty quickly that aren't, unfortunately, it's not coming from the graveyard anymore. And paying the 4 life for Dismember can just wreck you. So you can't really bring those in. So the best we're doing right now is like Echoing Truth out of the sideboard. It's probably just not good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, Dorian, what do you think when you've been playing? And again, Kody, if you've gotten some modern games in.
Well, let me go ahead and pull up my list real quick because my sideboard does have some similarities to what Dan had, but I also did have some differences.
I mean, God, at this point, I almost want to play Imprison in the Moon.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing.
Give me some targeted removal.
One thing I thought of just now, because Lava Dart's buyback cost is sack a mountain, it actually makes your Goyfs bigger because it forces lands into the graveyard. I mean, obviously you're already going to be playing fetches and whatnot, but it's just another way to get more lands in the yard. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, Renin 6 doing is, I think it was a +1 that brings back a land from the graveyard, is the one thing that makes it a little bit difficult, because with, one thing we could have done to fight against Jund was, just mana screw 'em, but if they do like a turn 2 Renin 6 before we can do like a turn 2 Spreading Seas, it's like impossible to like just kill it at that point. Yeah, my sideboard, so Dan's sideboard is, on a mana denial route. He went 8 Seas because he doesn't like flavor for some reason. And then he has, like 4 Tidebinder Mages, 3 relics of Progenitus, the 2 Dismember, and 2 Echoing Truth. I have pretty much the same Dismember, and the same number of Relic of Progenitus, but then I split a 1/1 between Echoing Truth and Venser Shaper Savant, the Bounce Venser.
Oh, yeah. I can see that being really good right now.
Yep.
Especially with all the control that's coming out and all the Stoneforge decks.
Yes.
Oh, I think it's actually really neat. That's a good idea.
That was kind of the reason I did that too, specifically for that. But then my at least my local meta, it's a little bit more like Tron based and Wurza. So I have Ceremonious Rejection, Damping Sphere, Hurkyl's Recall in the board for that, and I only run 2 Tidebinder Mages.
I think Hurkyl's Recall is a really strong card right now with the way the meta's shaping out with all the Wurza we're seeing.
Yep. That one, the Hurkyl's Recall definitely helped me out in games 2 and 3 against the Wurza deck. They, couldn't really combo off once I, threw everything back in their hand.
Yeah, so we've already talked about the Jund matchup and the Red Prowess matchup. Are there any other decks that have kind of, I guess that we don't get any benefit from running Silvergill Adepts against? One that comes to mind, at least in my opinion, is the Hardened Scales Affinity lists, because they're just so fast. It's hard.
I mean, anything, without a doubt, anything with Walking Balloon.
Which includes some Tron lands or Tron lists, correct?
Yes, Eldrazi Tron, Mono Green Tron. Then we have what? Then we have what was it called? What you just said, Hardened Scales Affinity.
But we've talked about this for God. I mean, we've been on this podcast for a while now. I mean, Affinity is essentially an auto loss.
Yep. More or less, yeah. Especially with Hardened Scales. I mean,
there's just not much we can do.
Hurkyl's Recall kind of gives us a chance to use it, especially since Wurza's making, rounds as well. But for the most part,
I'm seeing 0 Hurkyl's Recalls in most of the decks that are showing up on MTG top 8. So, I mean, at most, you're probably playing 2. I mean, really, it's still auto loss. I mean, the odds of you drawing it and the fact that they can rebuild so quickly.
True.
AKA ban Mox Opal. We complained enough to get Hogak and looting banned. Magic community, let's get together and get all of our complaining skills up for the Opal.
Yeah, well, I mean, to kind of go off on a slight side tangent, I'm seeing, a bunch of people complaining about Soul Ring in Commander, and I'm just going. I'm going to try to stay out of that conversation for the most part, but it just seems to me the the success of getting looting banned has rallied a bunch of people to now go after the next one drop spell that seems to be in every Commander deck.
I see you on that tangent boat, and I'm going to join you on it. As far as I'm concerned in my Commander games, I guess we're playing Commander a lot differently than people online, because people who have Soul Ring on turn 1, yeah, they're a little ahead, but I don't think they've ever been, in my games at least, so far ahead that it makes it ungames. So, I don't know. I've never had a problem with Soul Ring. I mean, it's those who have Soul Ring into Grim Monolith, into Mana Crypt, and have 8 mana on turn 1. That's pretty obnoxious, but a Soul Ring on turn 1, I've never had an issue with. But again, that's just my personal experiences. So,
if you want to beat turn 1 Soul Ring, just play, turn 1 Ancient Tomb, Chalice of the Void.
There you go.
Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled programming with Silvergill Adept.
So we've actually kind of.
So what?
Go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say. Let's put all of our money on the table right now. Going forward with this current meta, I'm seeing a ton of burn. I'm seeing Dredge make a little bit of a comeback. I'm seeing a lot of Wurza. And we know there's going to be a ton of Stoneforge decks, at least for the foreseeable future, until people either decide that it's really good or just kind of medium, which my guess is probably going to end up being just a little bit medium. But right now, do we keep Mephish?
I'm in the camp that it's just personal preference and all. Jund is a lot harder to match up.
We got to take a definitive line here.
No, yeah, my definitive line, is it is personal preference and all.
You heard it here first. Dorian says, yes, you keep him.
Unofficially,
so we should all
yes.
make him feel bad about his decisions.
Oh, go ahead and try. I will still play Silvergill Adept in my list just to spite everyone. But...
Spite cards, I like it.
Next mechanic is spite. If you hate your opponent that much, they lose 2 life.
Ooh, I actually kind of like that. I want to see that in the next Battle Bond or something like that, or Conspiracy.
That is pretty fun.
If your opponent's being a douche, they lose 2 life.
Now that sounds something like in Unset number 4.
I don't know. I think we're getting pretty close to it, and I think the lines are getting a little blurred between unsets and conspiracy sets and battle bonds at this point.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw all those together in a cube later on in life, but
you'd be making great decisions if you do.
Okay, so I'm on the side of it's personal preference. I personally say yes, and all because Jund seems to be the only more difficult matchup because it can play, Ren and 6 and Plague Engineer, and it loves to play them both back to back.
And one of the things we can talk about too when it comes to decks like Jund and Wurza that are actually quite expensive is that they put up results at major tournaments, but you might not see them as often at your local game store because of the cost. Or if you do see them, they might not be the optimized versions. Obviously you're going to have some people there who do have the fully optimized, foiled out Invocation and Masterpiece versions.
I'm in this photo and I don't like it.
but not nearly as much.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think that despite some extra hostility towards the deck, we're a deck that likes to swim upriver, upstream basically, and it's just strength in numbers. More people that play this deck, the more people that know how to learn this deck, especially if they're playing against these new types of cards. We played, what was it? Master of Waves for the longest time, even in the face of, walking ballista. But it wasn't until Plague Engineer did we realize, okay, maybe we can't do a 4-drop, slot in our decks anymore. We need to do something, a little bit lower to the ground with some better creature interaction. Which is why I'm seeing like Harbinger of the Tides replacing some slots in what was it called? Replacing Silvergill Adept for the most part, and then there was another one. I'm gonna have to take a look at some other lists offline to see what I was talking about. But
so just because you brought them up and you got into the go into the weeds boat, I'm gonna hop in that real quick again. One of our first reviews that we ever got when we started doing the podcast, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, probably almost 2 years at this point, but it was. The show was okay, but there's that one guy who thinks that Master Waves is a bad card in Modern Merfolk, so they clearly don't know what they're talking about. I was that guy. And I'm going to hold by it. I think the card was very meh. It's more meh than meh-ish.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Plague Engineer, I think it would be great, because, I mean, if it was just Ren and 6, we'd probably still be running Master of Waves, because he doesn't care about Lavadar, he doesn't care about Ren and 6 and all. Plague Engineer was the only one that made it an issue, because they, cast it, and then it's like, all right, well, I'm not going to name Merfolk, I'll just wipe, all your devotion to elementals.
Hey, since I clearly don't know what I'm talking about, can I throw out another random sideboard thing that probably is not going to work? Why aren't we playing Pithing Needle? And just naming Ren and 6, if that's such an issue. I mean, we could also, hit all the Jaces and the Teferis, and I mean, there's a lot of Planeswalker issues right now.
I would go one better. One better being an argument, but it is Sorcerer's Spyglass. You get to see your opponent's, hand, and then make the choice afterwards.
I'd be fine with that as well.
Yeah, and I mean, even Sorcerer's Spyglass is kind of seen play in Legacy, so. Legacy Merfolk.
In Legacy, though, you have the Soul Lands.
That's true. That's fair. Well, I mean, I play it in Legacy Merfolk, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's in my main for Legacy Merfolk, just because it replaces Chalice number 4.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, if it's that much of an issue, yeah, go ahead, run like a Pithing Needle or a Phyrexian Revoker or Sorcerer's Spyglass type of thing, And if you're really worried about Jund, go blue-white, play Unsettled Mariner.
Yeah, Unsettled Mariner actually does help fix a lot of the problems that we have, where it taxes them into like fair speed of Magic. If that makes sense.
But he adds additional problems of adding white to your deck.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe it might be time to bring back Spellskite. Who knows?
Ooh, I kind of like that. I actually like that idea a lot.
Yeah, that like maybe play like one Kopala and one Kira, and just kind of use those as ways to protect the team.
Yeah. No, I think you're. So what I'm hearing is the sideboards that are kind of traditional right now might need to be juiced up a little bit.
Without a doubt, it's essentially the way we had it before. Like, it's almost a staple with the deck. The sideboard is what makes or breaks how we play our strategy and all. Like, my Simic list is entirely different than my mono blue list, and my mono blue list changes week to week, depending on how often I can get on a league.
Okay, so I think we're at agreement here. We're going to agree with Dorian that you should be playing Mythish because he said you should, and he'll make you feel bad if you don't.
Yeah,
I will guilt you all.
I do agree that it's something that is meta dependent. Obviously, you're not going to have. There's maybe the one person in your store that's going to rush out and build Jund again, and there's people that are really into Jund and have been playing Jund the whole time, regardless. And there are people that bought Ren and 6 when it was as cheap as it was, and They're already out there destroying Silvergills as we speak. But I think the biggest takeaway is just be aware of what your meta's shifting with all these bannings, because that might be the way to determine if Silvergill is still good enough for you. And if it is, then great. Keep playing Silvergill. Nobody's gonna stop you, except Matt. Matt will heckle you from his office.
I'm not as bad as Dorian, who will somehow find out that you randomly played your silver. You did not play your Silvergill and your F&M in the middle of Nebraska, and he will passively aggressively make you feel bad about yourself over Twitter.
Yeah.
Nebraskans, watch out. He's coming for you.
And if you live in Nebraska, just change that to Oklahoma. But
Corbin, watch out.
Oh no, I will go up to Nebraska for all you Merfolk players up there. I'll even go one higher. I'll go up to, Kansas, where it's nothing but rivers and flatland.
Yeah, lots of kern, from what I'm told. But in any case, we're gonna start wrapping things up here. Okay, quick edit. I've been trying for a while to find a list that isn't running Vile or isn't running Silvergill, and I cannot find one.
Yeah, I mean and I think that just adds to my argument a little bit, is that we love the card advantage that Silvergill Adept is bringing to us, and instead of, just cutting it entirely, it's just causing people to rethink the priority of playing Silvergill. If we are playing against a deck that is going to be, heavy on killing X1s, then we want to we want to put in our 2-drops. We want to drop our Lords first, and just kill them kind of, that traditional swarm and going tall.
I think this is more of a hypothetical mental exercise at this point, rather than definitively saying we can point to decks X, Y, and Z that had success.
Okay, and so Dorian, do you want to do the opening hand that we ironically do at the closing of this podcast?
No, well, I mean, yeah, the the opening hand is cool. I think I need access to the show notes though.
Well, I don't have a deck.
There's show notes?
There's no show notes for this one. I just meant with your deck that you had pulled up. If you
all right, hold on a second. Let me do the paper magic shuffling real
Kody,
quick.
can we do some music? Like you want beatbox or something?
Like elevator music.
Kody, no, just beatbox. Do it now, Kody. Do it.
My name is Cody Smith.
I'm legit impressed. I thought you were just gonna make a fool out of yourself, and I was hoping, but I'm actually I kind of enjoyed that.
My name is Cody Smith, and I'm here. My name is Cody Smith, and I'm here to say I'm gonna rap a song for you in a rapping way. I got a real big magic deck, and I'm not gonna finish that. It's like a dirty limerick.
You had to run it. You had to run it.
Yep, I did.
Opening hand. Oh God, this is horrible.
And we're on the play because we're even.
And that's the show for tonight, guys. Thank you very much.
I can cut out the shitty rapping.
No, I'm talking about Dorian's bad hand.
It's bad.
Yeah. Okay. So I shuffled up my deck. I had Matt cut it. So thank you for this.
You're welcome.
And it is an island. Specifically 8th edition island 337 of 350.
Ooh,
if anyone wants to if anyone wants to take a look at that art. And then I have Curse Catcher, Master of the Pearl Trident, Lord of Atlantis, and Force of Negation.
Yeah, it sounds like you need to shuffle again, my friend. That's a bad hand.
I think so. If I had one more land, one more island, or any one of the blue spells, I probably would have kept this.
Or a vial.
We might get in some trouble, but Matt's cut is so legendary that it is going to be a Throne of the Eldrazi card.
No, I think
That's the fourth time I made that joke tonight, guys.
And
if you're still with us, that's number 4.
I hope they're not with us at this point. Oh God.
Oh yeah, that opening hand was an easy mulligan for me.
Yeah, I'd say mulligan as well. Just because if we had, like you said, an island or at least at the very least an Aether Vial, I think that'd be keepable. But yeah, especially on the play. Yeah, that's gonna be rough.
So this is on the play, but if it's on the play of game 2 and we're playing against Storm, I might keep it.
Oh yeah. If we.
That's a very oddly
I'm just
specific.
trying to add
find
some flavor
reasons.
here. I'm trying to Guy Fieri this up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure we can find reasons why this would be a keepable hand and all. But I mean, you know, if it's game 1, unknown opponent, and it's hey, here's one land, and there's no guarantee you're going to get another one for a couple turns.
But yeah, if you know you're going against somebody who's going to have like a lot of like quick like chaining spells and things like that for whatever reason, triple Curse Catcher 1 land, probably not a bad thing to have.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a hand like that as my opening hand against the Mono Red Prowess deck last Friday, or like the last FNM I was at.
That's worth it,
yeah, I would have kept that and all. It would have been way better than my mold of 4.
Yeah. All right, so we're all in agreement. Blanket statement. We're gonna mulligan this hand. Dorian,
So
where
the things
can we
learned tonight. You got to play Mephish, or Dorian will make you feel bad about yourself. Kody is a mediocre beatboxer and an awful rapper. And Matt needs to start working on interrupting and being more of a jerk, because Kody and Dorian have gotten way too good at it and making him look bad at his job. Did I sum things up pretty much?
Yeah. Remember that.
Seems like it.
Remember that if you have a question, you can reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at FishCastMTG.
Or our new app on the Fire Stick.
Yes, and
Download
and the original iPod, it's also there. So if you have one of an iPod Classic, then feel free to download our app. But if you have a longer form question, feel free to email us at fishcastmtg@gmail.com. Our cover art was made by Tessa and Hunter Pruitt.
Or hit us up on our Sidekick.
And our T-Mobile sidekicks are always at the ready. And if you our logo and stream art was done by Ishton on Twitter, with our animated intro for all of our YouTube videos done by Jake Boss MTG. If you like what we're doing here, please rate and subscribe in the Apple or Google Play Podcast
Hey,
app.
Kody, can I be serious just for 1 second? Because I want to interrupt you again. Can we literally just kind of give a quick round of applause to all the people who've done art and videos for us? Ishton, Jake, absolutely amazing.
Yes.
And everybody should go out there and support them. Oh, and the Pruitts. We cannot forget about the Pruitts.
Yeah, Ishton actually just put out on his Redbubble store the Oh Lords shirt. It has all the lords, and it just says Oh Lords. I thought that was pretty good. That's one of my favorite shirts or arts that he's done. I may have to pick one up when my season of frugalness is over. But yeah, remember to rate us in all these places and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/fishcastmtg. Also, pester Channel Fireball to get me into the commentary booth at GP Oklahoma City. I want to do it. I think it'll be fun.
That was such a good idea that when Kody posted online, I didn't passively aggressively make fun of him for it. I just liked it and retweeted.
Yep. So make sure to pester Channel Fireball for that. So thank you, everybody. We will see you all next week.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yep. Dan, once again, congrats on top 8 at the MCQ.
Yes, Dan. Good job.